Okay, welcome everyone to the special meeting, September 26, 2017, in the town of Ocean Ridge. Tracy, you call the roll, please.
Certainly. Commissioner Askov,
Present.
Vice Mayor Bonfiglio,
Here.
Commissioner Cos.
Here.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
Commissioner Magruder
Here.
and Mayor Pugh.
Here. Okay, can we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone. All right, is there any additions, deletions, or modifications to the agenda? Hearing none.
Move that we adopt the agenda.
Second.
Motion and second. Any other comment? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. All right, public comment. Hearing none, let's move on to the budget public hearing. All right, presentation of the tentative budget and proposed millage rate for fiscal year 2017-18. At this point, right now, any questions for Jamie regarding that?
I would just mention for housekeeping, Mayor, that the package in front of you is identical to the first hearing last week, and nothing has been changed to the content.
Okay. All right, I'll announce that the Town of Ocean Ridge computed millage rate is higher than the rollback rate by 3.25%. The millage to be levied is 5.25 mils, which is lower than last year for the press's benefit. Comments from the commission and public. Any comments regarding the budget? Commissioners?
No.
Public? You guys have anything to say about the budget? All right, moving on. All right, so resolution number 2017-14, adoption of the final millage rate for the fiscal year 2017-18. So we need to make a motion for that?
I move that we adopt resolution number 2017-14, adopting the final millage rate for fiscal year 2017-2018, which is 5.250 mils.
Is there a motion and a second?
Second.
Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. All right, moving on to the next resolution. Is there a motion?
I move that we adopt resolution number 2017-15, which is adoption of the final budget for fiscal year 2017-2018, as set forth in our agenda item 1E.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries. And finally, the next resolution.
I move that we adopt resolution number 2017-16, updating and reappropriating funds for the Capital Projects Fund for fiscal year 2017-2018, as set forth in our agenda item 1F.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. All right, moving on to public hearings. An application, Tracy, you want to go with this one?
An application for development approval, special exception submitted by Palm Beach County Board of County Commissioners to allow improvements to existing facilities at Ocean Inlet Park located at 6990 North Ocean Boulevard, Ocean Ridge, Florida, in the public ownership zoning district as a public park area and marina with accessory buildings to be operated by the county.
Okay, so who's up?
If I can, Mr. Mayor, based on some comments that I have heard from the commission, primarily dealing with the security, I guess some security or patrolling issues at Ocean Inlet Park, I did reach out to the county to kind of talk about those issues before tonight's presentation. And it's entirely whatever the commission wants to do, but my conversations with the county parks has kind of provided that, if the commission wants to continue this item, you can, and that would in turn give staff with Ocean Ridge, staff with the county, and I think that also suggested maybe we try to bring in PBSO and Manalapan to all get in the same room to try to address some of these security issues that I know that you all have some concerns that some of the residents of the town has raised. And so, you can certainly hear their presentation. However, I think the county is amenable to that. We did talk about, there was a change in the plan from requesting 21 leasable spaces to 20 to be in accordance with the prior agreement. And I also raised with them a question or an issue that we had about landscaping along Island Drive, which I think that we'll be addressing as well. So I don't know, you can certainly, it's entirely up to the commission. You can certainly hear their presentation and then look at it at that point. But it's my understanding in speaking with them that that's not something that they can't really address the security matter tonight. So it's up to the commission.
All right, what's the pleasure of commission? If we don't have a full presentation.
It seems to me, yeah, because I got some questions on the security. I'd like to answer it. If you can't answer them, then
We might as well continue it.
Yeah.
When will you continue it to, November?
Well, we would continue it to, I guess, Tracy, when is it?
November 6th.
November the 6th at 6 PM, so we would need a motion like that. Now, if a commissioner has some specific questions about that, you can, if you want to say them now, or if you want to, we can certainly pass them along to the county so they can be ready to address it. And when we meet with them, we can try to make sure that those things are addressed. So when we convene again on this matter, hopefully we'll have responses for those questions.
Are you fellows amenable to that? Sure. All right, so you want to make a motion for that?
I move that we continue the public hearing with respect to the application for development or approval of the special exceptions submitted by Palm Beach County to allow improvements to the existing facilities at Ocean Inlet Park
To a date certain of November the 6th at 6 PM at Town Hall.
what he said.
Is there a second? Is there a second?
Second, can we have a slight discussion? Is there something else other than security that we should be adding to this? So when we come back again, we don't, do the exact same thing to you guys, because obviously you.
And I would urge you all, if you have some other issues, if you want to bring them out now, just my preliminary conversations, I know security was the big issue, and then the other two issues that I brought up that they will be addressing, but if you all have some other concerns, you may want to, if you have them now, you may want to let them know.
Yeah, I was inquiring as to whether or not it was possible to put, for example, video activity there 24/7. If it was possible to get an idea what you plan to do with the north side of the park that we don't control, to get an idea of what you plan to do there too, because that's obviously not in your plans. Whether or not you're gonna, I know somebody said at the planning and zoning meeting that there was a sheriff's substation that's not manned, but if there's gonna be any coordination with the sheriff's office to man that.
Wouldn't that be part of the security? then?
Yeah, but that's, these are the questions that I wanted them
As
to
far as
address.
security, we don't know the county rules on 24 hours
Right.
versus shutting down at midnight, locked up. If you got boats in there locked up, what happens to the fishermen?
Right.
It's very specific questions that
Wait,
we
that-
have, which
and-
we assume you guys.
Yeah, if you
Wait,
guys
now,
can.
wait, I think aren't we planning on a meeting with Manalapan, the county, Ocean Ridge,
I
and
think
the sheriff's
that's,
Yeah.
department? Isn't that where we're going with this?
Right.
So we can address exactly the issues
Well,
that you're.
I'm just trying to tell them the things that I'm concerned with,
Right.
maybe they can come back and say, this is what we're doing about those issues, or we can't because of A, B, C, or D.
Well, if they get that meeting, we can.
Yeah, we can
We're all at
hash
that
it
meeting,
out.
we can just, hash it out.
Okay.
Who is this meeting with?
I think it would probably be with town staff. I know the chief would be involved. I may or may not be involved. And it would be with, I assume, kind of the same officials on the other side with the other agencies, so that way that we can try to get something resolved here, because it's my understanding that this has kind of been an issue, not just with us, but maybe with Manalapan as well. And, hopefully we can try to have it taken care of once and for all if possible.
Could you come up to,
Miracle Alberg with Palm Beach County. There's a list of item issues that we can try to address in-house before we meet. Is that something that we can get from the town?
I can work with Brian and give him some of my concerns.
Yeah, so we can be ready at the
Yes.
meeting, so.
But we can also be at the meeting with the staff and Malapan. You can-
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
So next
really
time-
just one of you can, because otherwise it
Right.
would be a
Sunshine law.
sunshine issue.
Okay.
But
So-
we can have somebody from P and Z at the meeting and a commissioner.
Oh, absolutely, yes,
Jerry should be
you could.
And do we need to define the entities that should be at this meeting now, so we don't?
Well,
Well, the meeting-
I don't know, because, I mean, we will do our best to try to reach out to them, but, you know, sometime, I'm sure the county will be there, we'll be there. I have a good feeling Manalapan will be there, and hopefully we can ask PBSO in a nice way to,
When is the
Also attend.
meeting scheduled?
we don't know. We're just getting direction now and
Yeah,
kind of
that'd be
saying.
nice to know, so that we have a deadline to get you our issues to you before you meet.
I would say if you could send them to me as soon as, maybe by the end of this week, the beginning of next week, or by next, the meeting, Monday night's meeting. If I could have them by then, that would be
October
great.
2nd.
October
The
2nd.
second, yes.
Okay.
All right,
Perfect.
thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for coming down, gentlemen.
Public comment? Is there any public comment?
Yes, Jerry Garay, 130 Island Drive. I just want to make sure we add a couple of more items to that list, and I can communicate with Brian directly, but one thing is there was scant discussion at P and Z regarding the changes in the docks. And I understand they're proposing 21, only 20 are allowed, but they're also proposing to make them floating docks and making the entire length of the dock span somewhat larger. And I think we need to pin that down a little bit. It also would be nice to see some graphics as to how the buildings are going to be reconfigured, because they're going to be moved and rebuilt, as I understand it.
Right.
And one thing to add to that, does 20 spaces mean 20 boats? Or does 20 spaces mean it can be a large boat taking up 2 spaces, a boat on either?
20 slips.
20
slips.
slips, 20 additional slips, okay.
So it's 20
There
votes.
wouldn't be a double slip to get a huge boat, it will be 20 individual slips,
And is there a limit on the length of the boat that can be put there?
probably 50.
Sounds like someone
you,
wants to
Jerry.
bring their new huge boat in.
They're not gonna be able to get under the bridge to get out, though.
Yeah, where you gonna go? Thank you, Jerry.
Good, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Betty Bingham, 1 East Ocean Avenue. I don't know whether you can do it, but I would like to see while you're negotiating with them, that you negotiate with them to pump the sand south that they guaranteed to do 20 years ago when Ocean Ridge allowed them to put the hook on the inlet. See if you can get something in there that will make them do it regularly.
Thank you, Betty. Christine?
Good evening, Commission, 29 Sable Island Drive. Just an observation, and I know it has nothing to do necessarily with your plans, but this is the conspiracist in me always coming out, is I would like to see some type of commitment to preserving the heliport service piece of, the function that they have within the park. And I know that that's on a grassy land and it's not really necessarily 100% deemed approved, but I think that is really an important kind of emergency service that they offer not only to the residents within Ocean Ridge, but obviously to the people who go to the park. And I would like to make sure 100% that is something that's going to be preserved there.
Thank you. Any other public comment? All right. All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thanks.
Yes? We'll wait for you, before we start, we'll wait for you guys to go.
It won't be long.
November 6th. All right, moving on to the resolutions. Tracy?
Resolution number 2017-17, resolution of the Town Commission of the Town of Ocean Ridge, Florida, amending resolution number 2006-13 related to establishing a policy for overtime pay to employees during the first 72 hours of a declared emergency, providing for an effective date.
Okay. Does anybody want to make a motion for the resolution? Any explanation on this resolution, Jamie?
if you'd like one. This just clarifies the difference between the declaration of an emergency by the state or the county versus when we mobilize employees for an actual storm or emergency event.
I'll move that we adopt resolution number 2017-17 as set forth in item number 3 in our agenda for tonight.
I second the motion.
There's a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. All right, second reading and adoption of ordinances. Tracy, number 4, please.
Ordinance number 624, an ordinance of the Town of Ocean Ridge, Florida, amending its code of ordinances by amending Chapter 66, Environmental Regulations, Article 2, Floodplain Management, Section 66-21, Inspections, Section 66-25, Definitions, Section 66-32, Manufactured Homes, to provide regulations related to manufactured homes, providing for codification, conflicting ordinances, severability, and an effective date.
Thank you. Brian?
Okay, as you, well, if you remember, the last time, the reason for this change is because we had previously adopted a floodplain ordinance. After we adopted it, we were informed that we needed to include the manufactured homes section in the ordinance that was in the template, even though the town of Ocean Ridge doesn't really have many manufactured homes. Currently, our code does allow for it, and so that's what this change does in order to be in compliance with the state floodplain coordinator's direction.
Okay. Any questions? All right, is there a motion?
I move that we adopt ordinance number 624 set forth in agenda item number 4 in our agenda tonight.
Second. Is there a second? Any public comment? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. All right, number 5, Tracy.
Ordinance number 622, an ordinance of the Town of Ocean Ridge, Florida, amending its code of ordinances by amending Chapter 67, Buildings and Building Regulations, Article 2, Technical Codes and Other Construction Standards by creating Division 3, amendments to the Florida Building Code to set forth the local amendments to the Florida Building Code, providing for codification, repeal of conflicting ordinances, severability, and an effective date.
Brian?
Okay, basically, this ordinance is also an offshoot of the adoption of the floodplain ordinance, where we were informed in our code at the time, we had adopted the countywide amendments to the Florida Building Code, and we were informed by the floodplain administrator that that was not acceptable, as there were certain changes in the countywide amendments, or certain things the countywide amendments had included that were not applicable to us. So what I had done was I had reached out to some other communities, and the amendments to the administrative amendments to the Florida Building Code that you have in front of you are the ones that that I have proposed to adopt, and they are very close to the current countywide amendments anyway, so there's not a lot of change there. However, there are some minor changes, and that is, however, this is kind of based on some recent adoptions of some other local municipalities in this area. So that's what you have in front of you.
Any questions for Brian? All right, is there a motion on the floor?
I move that we adopt ordinance number 622 as set forth in our agenda item number 5.
Second.
Second? All right, any public comment? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Tracy, number 6.
Ordinance number 625, an ordinance of the Town of Ocean Ridge, Florida, amending its code of ordinances by amending Chapter 34, Nuisances, Article 1 in general, Section 34-8, Business by Contractors and Vendors on Sundays and Federal Holidays, to clarify the hours when construction may be conducted, amending Article 2, Noise, Division 3, Noise Control Standards, Section 34-83, Construction during certain hours, Sundays and Federal Holidays, penalties to regulate construction hours on Saturdays, enacting Section 34-97, lawn maintenance equipment noise, to set forth the time periods that lawn maintenance equipment may be operated by contractors and vendors, providing for codification, repeal of conflicting ordinances, severability, and effective date.
All right, Brian.
Okay, this, on this ordinance here, it's, as I explained during first reading, this actually provides the prohibition on construction taking place after 6 p.m. and before 8 a.m. Currently in the code, we had just had it as a noise violation where it wasn't really a prohibition. Now it is a prohibition. We have also added some language in here that allows or that extends the prohibition after, it's allowed from 8 to 1 on Saturday. After that, it is not allowed. It's not allowed on Sundays and certain federal holidays. This also prevents other types of lawn maintenance work to be conducted outside of those same hours. However, there is nothing here that prevents a homeowner from working on their own home when they are not using a commercial vendor.
Any questions for Brian? All right, hearing none, is there a motion?
I move that we adopt ordinance number 625 as set forth in agenda item number 6 in our agenda for tonight.
Second.
Motion and second. Any public comment?
Yes. Hi, Ken Khalil, 86 Island Drive South. I'd like you to reconsider the time frame for commercial vendors on Saturday doing leaf blowing and lawn work. And the reason for that is, I don't know if you've noticed, and it was tacitly mentioned before, you can't get a peaceful day around here. And since we're on this quest to become a giant homeowners association through other regulations that you're passing or potentially passing, we might as well take a look at this aspect too and not allow that to happen. I don't mind if a homeowner wants to do it themselves. That's the day they're off, assuming. But I gotta tell you something. I don't know if you've noticed, but on Saturdays, and not so much Sundays anymore because we kind of have a limitation on that. It's kind of an implied limitation. But on Saturday mornings, you go outside and from 8 to 10, or sometimes 11, it's just nonstop noise. And I really think you ought to consider it. Since we're trying to be like Gulfstream and Palm Beach and all the other communities that are up and down the coast, which I respect, we should also have some ordinance that reflects that as well. So I'd ask that you at least consider that because it is very annoying to hear that on a Saturday morning. Can't even sit outside.
We actually
Thank you.
started, I'm sorry. We actually started this whole process due to what you're saying. We went to Saturday afternoons, but I don't think anybody in the commission has a problem revisiting it
Well,
down the road.
no, what we did was we said something like, let's adopt this for now and see how it works, and if there are problems,
Right.
we can always change it. So,
That doesn't satisfy the Saturday morning.
well, it may not satisfy you for Saturday morning, but if you still have problems on Saturday morning after this gets passed, then I'll be more than glad to reconsider it and eliminate Saturday mornings. Let's see if this works. If we still have problems on Saturday morning and people complain, what do you guys think?
Well, no, I mean, we've had, wait, you gotta come up to, the rules, come on. The thing about it is, we had, how many meetings on this now?
Several.
Several.
4.
And all those meetings, we've had people come up and say they wanted Saturdays till at least 1 o'clock to have their guys come on Saturday, otherwise they're gonna have to they want their stuff done on Saturday. So it's been 50-50 both ways, of people who didn't want it, people who do want it, and the compromise was till 1. We had folks that said if they want to have their stuff they want people to be working all day Saturday, especially on new construction, which would also entail any vendor. So right now, it starts at 1 o'clock, so there was a compromise made there. Now, if the commission decides they want to revisit it at some point, they can, but this right now is a second and final reading.
Did the P and Z have any issues with that?
Jerry Garay, 130 Island Drive. Yes, we did consider this and deliberated a lot and considered a lot of alternatives, as Brian well knows. And we started out with a much more longer workday on Saturday. We cut it back and cut it back.
Right.
And I totally agree with Ken Khalil. I think it is a problem. But we decided that this is a good first step. If it doesn't work, we can revisit it. But this is a step in the right direction. And it did accommodate those people who were relying on lawn people who had no other day to work because that's their day off from their regular job. At least they could come and mow the lawn in the morning and then get out by 1 o'clock. So a compromise, yes. A work in progress, yes, and something that I think we actually can revisit readily. Thank you.
Thank you, Jerry. Yes, ma'am.
Betty Bingham, 20 Social Net. I just have one question. With the hurricane very vividly in our minds, would you allow people to work all day Saturday with their equipment to try and get cleaned up, or
Well, I
maybe
believe there'd be a
even longer
special,
hours?
In the ordinance, it states
It-
emergency.
Emergencies.
Yeah, are there, or, it was just a question.
Yep.
Okay.
Thanks, Betty. Any other public comment? All right, hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. All right, everyone, thank you for coming, and thank you for the comment.